Okay, so question on Dower Act. If someone has a property prior to being in a relationship or married, so relationship doesn't count, married, then sells it, it's still considered married. Yes. Okay, so I will just rephrase the question a little bit here. Let's say I have a house, it's under my name, and then I get married, and my husband moves into the house, or I continue living in my house. So as soon as I get married and I live in the house, even for a day, so either spouse lives in the property, even for a day, that becomes a marital home, and therefore the Dower Act would apply. So Dower Act basically applies to marital property. So in this case, if I were to go sell the property tomorrow, then I would require a dower consent signed from my husband. Okay, so as soon as somebody gets married, even if the property was purchased prior to marriage, Dower Act will apply if either spouse even spends one night or one day in the property, then the property comes under Dower Act. And yes, in that case, the other spouse that's not on the title will have to sign the dower consent, and only then can the property be sold. Or if I wanted to go place a mortgage on that property, so again, or get a HELOC, home equity line of credit on it, I would need to get dower consent signed by my husband. Otherwise, I could not sell the property or I could not mortgage the property. If I somehow did that, then my husband could come and sue, right? So that's how the Dower Act will apply, even if the property was purchased prior to marriage, only if it's a marital home. But let's say I had a revenue property, I had a rental property that I purchased prior to marriage, and that's not the house I was living in after I got married. In that case, Dower Act would not apply to that property. Neither one of us, my husband or I, have lived in the property. That means Dower Act will not apply, and I would be able to sell that property without getting any kind of consent from anyone else if it was under my name. Right? So it does not apply to rental properties that were purchased prior to marriage, but as long if the property is a marital home where either spouse is living in the property after marriage, then Dower Act would apply even if the property was purchased prior to marriage. If I have a property purchased prior to marriage, but neither spouse has spent any, like not even a single night in it, and neither spouse has lived in that property is not part of marital property, and Dower Act would not apply to that.